Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Midday News. I'm Milton Walker. We begin with more news from the Auditor General's stinging report on the operation of Petrojam. Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis has found that the former Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology failed to monitor the performance of both the Petroleum Corporation of Jamaica and Petrojam. TVJ's Janella Precious reports.
In her report, the Auditor General examined the submission of minutes and reports to the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology (MSET) over a 5-year period, 2013 to 2018. She pointed to a 2010 decision by Cabinet which stated that permanent secretaries as accounting officers should receive copies of board minutes and corporate plans for all public bodies under their portfolio. However, the Auditor General found that Petrojam's board did not comply with the reporting requirements established in law. Neither was there oversight by the permanent secretary. Over the 5-year period under review, it was revealed that Petrojam was tardy in submitting the required minutes from board meetings and reports to the ministry. The report stated that being a subsidiary of the PCJ should have played an active role in monitoring the operations and performance of Petrojam. It further states that the Ministry of Energy and Technology did not establish the required enabling reporting framework as part of its oversight role. Also, for the period under review, it was found that the PCJ did not meet on important issues pertaining to Petrojam's strategic and operational performance. According to the Auditor General, it is the responsibility of the Permanent Secretary to monitor the performance of the PCJ and Petrojam against expected results, manage risks, and advise and inform the Minister accordingly. However, MSET was not active in monitoring and overseeing Petrojam's operations. The lack of oversight was underscored by the fact that the only instance where board minutes were made available to the ministry was based on a request from its internal auditors in November 2015 for minutes of meetings held for audit purposes. The Auditor General also added that it's uncertain how the Permanent Secretary kept informed of matters of significant interest in order to be effective in overseeing the operations of Petrojam. Parliament's oversight responsibilities to assess the performance of Petrojam was also curtailed, according to the report, because of Petrojam's failure to submit to the Minister for tabling in the House of Representatives annual reports for the last 3 years. Janella Precious, TVJ News.
The report also pointed to lavish birthday parties for former Energy Minister Dr. Andrew Wheatley and the previous board chairman Percival Badu Singh. It revealed that over 500,000 barrels of fuel could not be accounted for, amounting to billions of dollars in unaccounted cash. Meanwhile, the government responded to the Auditor General's damning report into the operations of the state-owned oil refinery Petrojam. Dwayne Anderson put the issue to Information Minister Ruel Reid at the post-cabinet press briefing a short while ago.
The report you're alluding to was just tabled yesterday. Prime Minister commissioned the report and he's now going to be privy to the report, and we will act based on the recommendations that are so contained in terms of the remedies. And as has been alluded, we have been very proactive in terms of addressing some of the systemic issues that we have inherited.
Let me just remind you that the billions of dollars in question is over a 5-year period, not a 2.5-year period. So it's a systemic problem that will be dealt with as everything else is being dealt with.
Meanwhile, the private sector organization of Jamaica, PSOJ, is calling for sanctions against those identified to break governance and management rules at the state-owned oil refinery Petrojam. PSOJ's President Howard Mitchell today expressed concern about those findings. He says the compliance rules which deal with the appointment of board members must be strictly enforced. The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, PAC, has raised concerns about the waste of public funds at the Students' Loan Bureau, SLB. At Tuesday's PAC meeting, SLB's Executive Director, Monica Brown, explained that the agency is still in a rented space despite purchasing its own building in downtown Kingston. According to her, there has been a challenge finding adequate parking space at the new building, but the SLB is earning some money from it by renting a section to a restaurant. Still, PSC members were not pleased.
You might not have parking on a horizontal, but you can go vertical, you can go up in the air. So whatever space you have there now for for parking, Mr. Chairman. You still can do a construction of a high-rise 4-story, and you get as much parking as possible.
It does seem incongruous to have this asset sit on it while you're paying all this rent and maintenance. And in a low interest rate environment, you could probably finance the purchase of something suitable. If that isn't suitable for you, sell it and find something that is and stop paying all this rent.
A day after a British national was found in a shallow grave in St. Mary, there are reports that another person is missing. The missing woman has been identified as 58-year-old Barbara Finlay. She's from 7th Corner District in St. Elizabeth. The details in this report.
It's been a difficult 2 weeks for Vivian Martin, the fiancée of the 58-year-old missing British national. Mr. Martin says Miss Finlay has a history of depression. However, over the last year, she has not been taking her medication. Prior to November 28, he says she has been complaining about feeling restless.
She becomes more with John, and she won't leave out of the bed and thing. I try to get her to, she like go running, so I try to get her upbeat by, us going jogging and thing, but it didn't work because we went jogging and half the way she turned back.
Mr. Martin recounts that the night of November 28 was the last time he saw his fiancée. According to him, they both went to bed. However, in the hours of the morning, he realized she was not inside the house and the back door was open.
After realizing that she wasn't in the house, I began searching around the house. And then not seeing her, I came back in, reported to the Santa Cruz police station, and then walk around the boulevard, seeing if I could cover some tracks and try catch up with her. But it was to no avail.
Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Miss Finlay can contact the Santa Cruz police station at 876-966-2289 or 966-9041 or the nearest police station. Prince Moore, TVJ News.
The Transport Ministry has launched a new campaign seeking to regularize taxi drivers who operate without the requisite transport badge. During yesterday's sitting of Parliament, Robert Montague, the Transport Minister, announced a program which will allow public passenger transport drivers with criminal records to obtain their badges while they seek an expungement. That raised questions about safety from the opposition.
Putting the cart before the horse, that if the person has a criminal record, because if someone who commits a murder or commits a sexual crime would not be able to get it expunged. But then if you permit that person to apply for the badge before knowing what crime he has committed, will be putting the passengers of that vehicle that he may be driving in danger.
There are hundreds of people driving today within the public passenger industry that have adverse police records. And what we're trying to do is to get them into the system, because a lot of persons have expungible offenses and they don't understand the process, and we are trying to facilitate and to help them to get them expunged. Those that cannot be expunged will not be issued.
There's more discontent with aspects of the amended Road Traffic Act. Members of the Eastern St. Thomas Taxi Association are adding to calls for a review of the proposed legislation. Speaking recently at a media briefing, they also expressed concern about an area on Hope Road in Kingston, which they say has been the designated area to drop off passengers. The men, however, complain that they're being targeted by the police.
The commuters don't want to go down there. They're not going down there. When we come up in the bay, we have a problem with the officer. Whether you block the road, yes or no, they are saying, well, you should not be in the town. But most of the road license destination is in Morantine, not down by the park.
President of the Eastern Taxi Association in St. Thomas, Kirk Brown, is promising to make arrangements to assist the drivers.
Before we give them the road license, we have a meeting to explain the details, because a lot of driver and owner do not understand the contract and the road license. So that's what even creates some of these problems.
5 persons, including 2 teachers, have been hospitalized following a 4-vehicle crash on the Content Main Road in St. Elizabeth yesterday afternoon. About 4:15, 2 vehicles, including a taxi, were heading towards Lacovia when one of the drivers lost control of his vehicle. The vehicle collided into the taxi before crashing into 2 other vehicles driving in the opposite direction. The Santa Cruz Fire Station and the police responded to the crash. Passengers from all 4 vehicles, including a 3-year-old boy, were injured. They were taken to the hospital for treatment. TVJ News has learned that one of the teachers involved in the crash had to be transferred to another hospital. His condition is considered serious. As the festive season continues to take shape, former Prime Minister Bruce Golding is appealing to business people to take on a ward of the state for this Christmas season. He was speaking recently at the Mayor's Charity Bowl in Montego Bay.
Just for that brief moment, to be able to convey to them the notion that you're not completely alone. Others care. We can't meet your every need, but we want to at least say to you, we love you, and have as good a Christmas as your circumstances will allow.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
Health Report is brought to you by an estimated 32,000 Jamaicans are living with a human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, and acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. That's according to infectious diseases specialist Dr. Kathy Pate Robinson. Dr. Pate Robinson says half of those persons are infected but still do not know.
On the adult side for my clinic, we have seen about a little over 100 new diagnoses this year up to the end of the 3rd quarter.
Human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, and acquired immune deficiency syndrome, AIDS. That's according to infectious diseases specialist Dr. Kathy Pate Robinson. Dr. Pate Robinson says half of those persons are infected but still do not know.
And an item of news, Justin, an update on that story about the crash in Lacovia. We've since learned that that teacher who was transferred to the other medical facility has died. He died of his injuries in that 3-vehicle accident on the Content Main Road in St. Elizabeth. In the United States, a special counsel investigating alleged Russian collusion in the 2016 U.S. election will not be pursuing a jail sentence for former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Special counsel Robert Mueller told a federal court on Tuesday that Michael Flynn has given substantial assistance to the Russia investigation. The details from the CNN.
2017, Michael Flynn pled guilty to lying to the FBI, to the Department of Justice, about his contacts with Russian Ambassador Sergei Kislyak. Flynn has been cooperating ever since. The special counsel actually answers a very early informative question. Did Flynn cooperate right away? How much was he into cooperating? There'd been so much speculating and reporting that he was dragging his feet. He didn't want to cooperate. The special counsel says none of that speculation was true, that he was one of the first with long-range understanding of the campaign and the interactions with Russia and other entities to come forward and to cooperate. So that's a key point. He also says something else in here, and I think we have it made up for you. You may take this as frustrating, but you should not, and I'll explain why. The special counsel says in the addendum, so there's the main memo that's largely background, we'll take you through it. Then there's the addendum, which has the specifics of what he cooperated on. Most of it, I would suggest, that matters is redacted. I don't know if we have any pages. You know what redacted looks like. It looks like this, okay? It's just black bars. What does that tell you? It tells you that this is not over.
And that's the midday news. Milton Walker join us at 7 for primetime news on behalf of the news, sports and production teams. Good afternoon.